All right, you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right, Coach Vick here. James, you can get us started.
Yeah. New season, you're in game week. Just talk about how you're feeling, just new year.
Yeah, new season, game week. Just excited for the team, excited for our players who worked extremely hard for this moment, and understanding that this is just a fraction of what we got to go through in the 12-week season, and so every opponent that comes into this stadium or whoever we face stands in the way of what we're trying to accomplish, and we're very adamant about how we're gonna do it. And what it's going to take to do it, and it's just another day today to try to get better, to be ready for Saturday. And so these guys are ready for the challenge. Super excited, very anxious, but still got to continue to work throughout this week.
What have you seen in terms of the progression? Like, do you feel this team is at the point that you want them to be heading into game week?
Yeah, I do. Being a second-year head coach and having a chance to, view my team and what I want them to be, what I want their identity to be. I think they've created it. We've talked about it, what type of team we want to be. Obviously, improving from the things that we didn't do as well last week and last year. And, I was certainly, from a disciplinary standpoint, cut down on the flags, cut down on the penalties, at least try to alleviate some of those things and not give the game away. We talk about playing the game moving forward and not moving backwards. And if we can stick to that philosophy and those principles, I think we'll have a good chance of, keeping ourselves in the game and pulling it out in the fourth quarter.
This kind of goes along the lines of what James was asking, but do you feel like you're further ahead at this point, first game week, than you were last year at this time? Yeah,
I do. When I look back at last year and think about how I approached week one, how I approached our training camp, how I approached our spring ball. Everything was like a 360 this year as I've learned, what actually works, what it takes, listening to my coaches and, also giving a lot of input as to what I feel like it could look like or, what I want to see. And I think the team has done a great job of responding. I think it's been very physical. I think we've asked them to do a lot. I think they understand what to do, and they got to continue to get better at that. Understanding situational football and what to do, in certain, situations and when opportunities arise. But I think just from a core principle standpoint, we're a lot more better. We're a lot better. We're a lot more physical. We're a lot more confident.
What will separate Norfolk State from the other teams in the MEAC this year?
What will separate us from the other teams in the MEAC? I think it's great teams in the MEAC. Our entire conference is very competitive, and so, what has set us apart from everybody else is doing everything better than everybody else, and not, like I say, putting ourselves in a position where we don't have an opportunity to win the game, because we're going to have just as much opportunity as they have. We're going to get the ball just as much as them. We're going to play defense just as much. Hopefully, we'll return punts and not return as many kicks, because that means something then, happen on the offensive side or the defensive, however that goes. But to be able to create situations where we're being opportunistic and putting ourselves in position, to make each other better and playing together, that's what it can stand out. We played together, we found a way to win.
How difficult it is to nobody's played a game. They're coming in, there's no game film. How difficult is it to prepare for a team like that?
Yeah, this week is tough. No game film, nothing to look at. Just, we get the chance to use our imagination. I don't think, you can reinvent the wheel. It's either going to be one way or it's going to be another way. And from, what we see, these principles are going to apply, on both sides of the ball. And then we'll have a plan for both. And as we go through the process and we see, what works and what doesn't throughout the floor of the game, it's us as coaches to make those necessary adjustments and put our players in position to win.
We got a lot of new players on the team. How do you feel like the team has gelled together so far?
I think our team really has a lot of love for one another. I think they care about each other as brothers. We didn't have as many issues, nowhere near as many as we had last year, and some were major, some were minor, but I think they they do a lot of things together. They've spent a lot of time together. I think that's been extremely important.
Do you mind naming some of the upcoming talent we should look out for?
Some of the upcoming talent, I would say, watch out for JD, our running back, 3. Watch out for JD. Paul, Billups, Brevin, Caldwell, our quarterback, Dale J. Bailey, on the offensive side. On the defensive side, we got some guys emerging. Malik Moses, watch out for Dante Menard, who Dante's story. Dante was on the ineligible last year, was able to continue to work and work this way back up in the classroom, work this way into a starting position. Extremely proud of Dante Menard. Watch out for him. He can be a game wrecker. Nas, Javier, our corners. Obviously Ron Travius, at the wheel linebacker. Brendan Thompson, young Mike linebacker that's going to fly around sideline to sideline. Super competitive and a game-changing type of player. So he's young, but giving him some responsibility, and so a backup quarterback. We got some players, man. I can keep going down the line as I continue to think about those guys, but what was important was to create depth, and it's a lot of variables in this game where guys can play or they won't play, but we want to have rotation.
Coach, I'm sorry if I missed this before, but Del J will be your starting quarterback?
Yes, Del J is a starting quarterback going into this Saturday. Very confident with that decision that was made. We came into camp open competition. Del J was the number 2. He worked his way into the number 1 spot, and once he got the number 1 spot, he didn't let it go. He understands the offense. He understands what we're trying to accomplish. The only thing that can get in the way of Del J will be himself, overthinking it or trying to do too much. And so as of right now, I think he has to have a good week of practice and feel good going into Saturday, and then just go out and have fun and react.
And I also wanted to ask you, so last year at this time, there were documentary crew, camera crews everywhere, locker room, field, everything like that. Have you noticed any benefits this year to that? Not there were benefits to it having here, obviously, but have you noticed the less distractions being good for the guys this year?
Those players, they love the camera. They just did a TikTok video of it, ODU or something, which they shouldn't have been doing, but they love the cameras. They've been asking, where are the cameras? But I felt like it was extremely important for us to stay locked into what we was doing. That could surface at any point, but they got to earn the right to be put in that position. And it wasn't a distraction at all. I think the only thing that distracted us last year was ourselves. And what I was able to identify was the reasons that we had a lot of distractions, and with things that I could have done better and things that should have went better. But that's hindsight now. It made us ready for the 2026 season, and I'm extremely excited about this upcoming weekend.
Speaking of that, do you tell the players, forget about last season? This is something new. You try to stress to them, don't think about last season. This is a new season.
Yeah, I don't talk about last season too much. I try not to dwell on that unless situations surface where I got to make an example, and I try, not to do it, but I will do it. I think they feel realistically like last year's team wasn't them. A lot of them who were going to be out there wasn't them. And so, their mindset, I'll remind them, but their mindset is, Coach, that wasn't us. This is, we're a new group. And so I got to respect that, but I also can't forget about the fact that, in a small snapshot of time, you can resort back to being who you were or what your identity seems to be at this moment. So we got a lot to prove, man. We know we got a lot to prove. It's one day at a time, man, and it's a journey. It's a journey that we about to go on, and we excited that we got an opportunity to do what everybody else is doing and chase the championship.
I know we're going to have a great year, but what's your vision for the future of NSU football?
My vision for the future of NSU football is to continue to get better each and every year. A standard that's being set that we can never go away from. The same energy, the same vibe that we have now, we should have 10 years from now. Whether I'm right here in this position or not, it should be all about leadership, first and foremost, and then getting the best players in the building that's going to perform to the standards of academics and athletics at all costs. And so if that's not the focus, if that's not the goal, then, what are we striving for? So, when I think about, legacy, when I think about things that create an imprint, on your career, it's about what's happening now, what we're creating. And who knows how long that's going to take, but I'm down for the ride.
Speaking of the best players, what does Coach Vick look for when he's recruiting?
When I recruit a player, I'm looking right into a player's eyes to see if they really love football. Like the commitment that it takes to be as good as you want to be and to be able to compete as hard as you can compete. It takes an extreme amount of focus, and if you don't have that focus, you're not going to last long. You're going to lose your spot. You're going to get beat out. Somebody's going to surpass you who wants to be in that position, and there's a lot of young men out there who want to be the best, and you just got to find them. You got to sort them out. And so, sorry, just got excited. Fortunately for us, I get the chance to go through that process and interview each and every young man, and have 75 roster spots where I can create depth. And okay, if this don't work out, if he decides to go in a different direction, or if he wanted to do it his way, then he can. And maybe I have another one that'll step up and then want to do it the way that is valid. So it's part of the process, man. It's not the easiest. It's not easy dealing with the players' emotions and feelings, and because only 33 of them can go out there and play and perform. So if it's going to be some attitude, it's going to be some ill will, but that's when the leadership aspect comes in, and keeping them into the game and letting them know that the next man up rule is always going to be a standard, and stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
I was going to add on to that with recruiting. I know I talked to a lot of players from our area who were excited when they were signing on signing day. They talked about playing for you, changing everything. What does that mean when you have players from this area saying, I want to go play for Coach Vick?
It means a lot, being from here, knowing that we can make an impact right here in the Hampton Roads area, for a school who can go and compete against other schools in the area, and compete in recruiting and compete on the field just like everybody else. And so, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. We'll continue to set high standards. We'll continue to recruit hard, and it's just the beginning, really. To see that this is really like my first real recruiting, class, I feel like. And got some good young players, got some players that's committing, got some good ones on the radar, and just looking to get better. But I feel now we have a nice young nucleus paired with, veteran players to go out and give anybody a run for their money.
Earlier on, you kind of alluded to the fact that this is a different team than last year's team. But if times get hard, for some people it might be easy to slip into those old habits. How have you kind of seen yourself as the head coach kill those old habits as quickly as possible when they happen, and say, no, that's last year, this is this year?
I deal with things head on. In this business, and learning from some of the best college coaches and some of the best NFL coaches, is like when your standard is capsized and you feel like somebody went against the grain and didn't do what the standard was, you gotta hold people accountable, because it can be a reflection of your program throughout the program, and you gotta hold each and every player to a high standard. And if they don't feel that, if they don't abide by that, then you find the players that will. So I hate to make examples out of people, but people will make examples out of themselves, and either you want it or you don't. And if you lose a position, it's probably because you lost it on your own. Or if you lost playing time, it's probably because you lost it. Not because I came in one day with a different energy and say, I'm going to pick on you today, give me your playing time. I don't do that. I put the best people out there, and I put the players out there who are going to set the best examples for the younger generation that's coming.
I remember after the spring game, you told us how excited we would be to see Reggie. And so how did you kind of decide the quarterbacking battle to get to where it is right now?
Yeah, I was excited about our entire quarterback room. I obviously wanted to bring in two guys that was, older and veterans who could lead the younger quarterbacks, and just made it known to our team that it was open competition. It was nobody had a starting position. If you don't do the right things, off the field, don't do the right things on the field, like you can lose your position. And I just say that Reggie lost because he wasn't doing the right thing off the field. I just think the production, it wasn't there early. It was evident that Dale J had kind of took a leap from the spring, and he just showed that he had the ability to, be, I want to make comparisons, a better version of Dale J. Bailey than what we've seen in the spring. And so that's from getting people lined up, understanding the protections, going to the right place with the ball, being accurate, protecting the football. All those things came into play. And so he was able to surpass, the other quarterbacks in that department. And so we're very comfortable with where he's staying.
Was there an urgency in your mind, given how last year's quarterbacking situation went, where you would you slotted Otto in specific situations, and as he got his opportunities, was there a point of emphasis in this offseason to make sure, let's really nail it down, get it right going into week 1, week 0? Yeah,
and that's what I'm here for, to make sure that our quarterback room, along with Coach Shepard, has the best 4 or 5. And, we have a really good young one in Dijon Goldman. If you see him this week, you'll see flashes of what, the future can definitely look like. But, I ask those guys to just compete at a high level, and what it comes down to is decision-making, leadership, and obviously protecting the football. So I definitely gave everybody ample opportunity to show what they can do and, show that they can lead all units. And so I was able to see what I needed to see. That's what made this summer so fun. That's what made this camp so fun, is that everybody was competing at a high level, and, you could just see the competition each and every day and feel the energy each and every day. And I can assure you, they'll bring that same energy on Saturday. This is a team with a lot of resolve and a lot of attitude, and I challenged them in a lot of ways, and it just wasn't easy. And they'll tell you it wasn't easy, but we had fun doing it, building the chemistry.
A lot of confidence in the game on Saturday, but what game on the schedule are you most excited for?
The game on the schedule I'm most excited for?
Yeah.
Well, probably Hampton.
Okay.
Probably Hampton for a lot of different reasons. Man. Yeah, let's just stop right there. That's the first quarter of the season.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, man.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, appreciate it, Coach. Thanks a lot.
All right.